وهنا في بوخارست كان لي الشرف إن أنا أقدم محاضرة بعنوان العلاقة ما بين التهاب الاعصاب السكري بأنواع المختلفة مع ضعف العضلات أو وهن العضلات.
So, my presentation today is about a small study we did at the center I work at back home in Cairo, Egypt. It was a local study on our clinic population. We were trying to assess the characteristics of patients with sarcopenia. Sarcopenia has recently emerged as an extremely under-recognized disease. The reason for this is came out with the GLP-1 use, and suddenly everyone discovered that there is something called sarcopenia and it's a big problem, and people started looking at it. So I thought, okay, why don't we measure it, see what type of patient has sarcopenia, what goes on. So basically the study design was basically we recruited 200 patients from my clinic. Okay, and we did hemoglobin A1C, anthropometric measurements, routine lab work, and we assessed for sarcopenia using a hand grip dynamometer. Okay, it's something very nice, very cheap. I advise all of you to get one in your clinics. Okay, and it takes 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds to have the test done, and you can categorize the people into having sarcopenia or not. And we did a battery of neuropathy tests for all of them. We checked for large fiber neuropathy using biothiometry. Our cutoff value was 25 millivolts. We checked for small fiber neuropathy using pseudoscan. Our cutoff value was less than 70 microsiemens, and we did we checked for cardiac autonomic neuropathy using the Vegas device. And people who had, in order to give definite diagnosis of definite cardiac autonomic neuropathy, we needed 2 abnormal tests. Anyway, so can we go down? Okay. So basically, and the cutoff values for the hand grip dynamometry was 27 kilograms for males and less than 27 kilograms for males and less than 16 for females. Okay. Of the 200 patients, 105 were male, a very well balanced group. Okay. 65 had sarcopenia. This is 32%, which I believe is a very shocking number. Like this is very real. These people are like 3 out of each 10 patients will have some degree of sarcopenia. The median age for the study group was 51 and 56. Patients who had sarcopenia tend to be a bit older. Okay, they were 55 and 60. Mean hemoglobin A1C was 7.95, which I believe would be the norm for any diabetes clinic anywhere. And our mean duration of diabetes was 11.9 years. Now, the next point is very important. Last year, we presented the prevalence of cardiac autonomic neuropathy in the Egyptian population with diabetes. I had a shocking 80% to 78% of our patients have at least one positive cardiac autonomic neuropathy test. Here it came out the same result. 76% of our patients had at least one abnormal cardiac autonomic neuropathy value. Okay, I believe we're higher than anyone else anywhere on earth, and I haven't got a clue why, but these are the numbers. Anyway, so we checked, we correlated it with BMI. There was no correlation, statistically insignificant, but we had positive statistical correlation between sarcopenia and all forms of neuropathy, whether cardiac autonomic neuropathy, small fiber neuropathy, large fiber neuropathy. It also correlated with CKD. It correlated with ischemic heart disease. We checked for correlation with drug classes, as of course the thing which triggered the whole thing was the use of GLP-1s. And I don't know, maybe it's because the study sample is pretty smallish. We're talking only about 200 patients. There was no correlation with any class of anti-diabetic drugs. Okay. And the strange thing here is that we didn't, there was no statistical correlation with obesity in this study set, which is pretty different to everything else. But again, we're talking about only 200 patients. The other thing which came out is that people who had a slower heart rate, for some reason, tend to have a higher correlation with sarcopenia. I have no clue what this means. Okay, but it is something in order to look further into. So, in conclusion, sarcopenia is pretty prevalent. We're talking about 30+% of the of the type 2 diabetes population. It correlates with any form of neuropathy. It correlates with any other comorbidity, whether it's cardiovascular, whether it's renal. And in this study group, it did not correlate with obesity. Thank you.
Of course, there's a question about drugs, but you answered that. Did you ask about physical activity?
Okay, let me look at it this way. The very few who had high physical activity among the study group were, strangely enough, among the sarcopenia people, which is the exact opposite of anything I would think about. But to be fair, there is something which is very unique to the Egyptian population. Our diet is fully based on carbohydrates and is very low in proteins. Okay, I didn't go like this is a good idea for a study for next year. Okay, yes, the average, I can ask people for their nutritional intake and see how much protein there is in their diet by gram per day, okay, compared to carbohydrates, because like this is a very valid point. Okay, thank you.